Here we go.
This is Skip One-on-One, brought to you by FanDuel, America's #1 sports book. Steven Jackson has always been one of my favorite people because Steven Jackson has always been his own man, stood tall and strong for what he believes, and I believe he was the first player ever to stand up to Greg Popovich. We'll get to that in just a couple of minutes. Steven Jackson has lived a rare life because he was a leader, if not the leader, of every NBA team he played for. Should have been an all-star, but wasn't. Then went on to dominate the Big Three as a player and a coach. Yet, what's more important than all of the above, he's given back so much to so many communities, but especially in the biggest picture to the Black community. Stephen was a close friend and like a twin to George Floyd. And that speech that Steven Jackson gave at that protest rally in Minneapolis was all-time great. So, Steven Jackson, I appreciate you taking the time to spend just a little time with me here now.
Oh, Skip, man, let me turn around and say I appreciate you. I remember those Fox days. I know who they was asking. Who they wanted on the show, and you vouched for me a lot. And ever since I met you, ever since I met you, you've been a stand-up guy. You always gave me good advice and always supported me. So, Skip, anytime you need me, whether it's on camera or off camera, I didn't hesitate. When Tyler called me, I didn't hesitate, man. You my guy.
Tyler Korn is my guy, and he did call you, and you've always been my guy, and I do love you, man. And
love you too.
Let's dig in. We'll get to what happened to Shadur Sanders and what is happening in the NBA playoffs in just a couple of minutes. But first, I want to talk to you about you, because you were born in Houston, but soon moved to Port Arthur, Texas, which did give us the Cowboy coach Jimmy Johnson, did give us the rock and roll star Janis Joplin. And yet, how different was it for you to go from Houston to Port Arthur? What was Port Arthur like in your childhood?
Well, I grew up in Houston in Third Ward, Texas. Third Ward is actually where George Floyd is from.
Yeah.
My mom was married to a guy, and she had me and my sister at the time, and he was really into drugs. He was doing a lot of drugs, and she was working at a service station, and all the money she was making, he was taking from her and spending it on drugs to where we was going without. So he ended up going to jail for 21 years, and right before he went to jail, my mom moved at like 4 or 5 years old. My mom moved me back to Port Arthur, Texas, where her mom and her sisters, her mom and sisters and brothers were. They migrated. By the way,
did you get to know your dad much at all?
So no. So growing up, I didn't know my dad until I was maybe 11, 12, somewhere around there, where I forced a relationship with him. The only reason I knew of my dad's family is because his sisters, my Aunt Puddin and my Aunt Yvonne, they did a great job of doing holidays and doing stuff like that. They made sure that I got gifts from that side of the family. She came, picked us up, and took us to eat. So I knew of my dad's side of the family and who he was simply because of his sisters.
Okay.
Yeah, my mom never spoke ill about my dad, so I didn't know anything about my dad.
All right. And did you feel like you did get to know him much at all?
Yeah, after time passed and I started becoming my own man, I think around 12, 13, I ended up asking my mom, could I go stay with my dad? And she didn't want to, but she was letting me be my own man. And that was some of the toughest years of my life, because that's when my dad was really in the streets, and so was my older brother, who ended up getting killed when I was 16. Yeah. So when I went stay with them, I started gang banging and smoking and selling drugs, doing a lot of stuff that I didn't know I was going to be privy to once I got over there. Yeah, I knew that's what was going on in my city, but I didn't know I was going to be so close to it once I moved with my dad.
Were you going back and forth between Port Arthur and Houston, or what? Did you get to know your dad in Port Arthur?
So the man my mama married to wasn't my biological father.
Okay.
My biological father lived in Port Arthur, and his whole family lived in Port Arthur. So when I went move with him, I was still in Port Arthur at the time.
Okay. Was Port Arthur racially divided in your childhood?
No. See, and that's one thing. Like it's on the outskirts of my city. And in Nederland and Seals being Bridge City, was a lot of racism. But in Port Arthur, Texas, black, white, Mexican, we had to live together. We had to work together. We had to be around each other because it was so small. So that's how I picked up Spanish. You know, it's broken, but I learned a lot of Spanish at a young age. You know, even the times when we talk about George Floyd, you see, I put up emojis of every race because I grew up with almost every race, even Vietnamese. I grew up a lot of Vietnamese going to school, so I grew up around everybody, and I think that's why my heart's always been so big, because I was able to tap into a lot of different people growing up.
That's beautiful. When did you first touch a basketball? When did it first touch you?
So basketball touched me around 3 or 4 years old. My uncles, my cousins all played at the famous Port Arthur High School, Lincoln, Abraham Lincoln High School. It's a big school in Texas. I think we might be one of the top 5 schools in state championships in Texas. And growing up, I ended up watching my cousin and B.J. Tyler. B.J. Tyler he went to Texas. He ended up getting drafted by the 76ers, but made some mistakes in his career, and I'll get back to that. He made them, and I was playing around 5 or 6. My uncles and them basically put the ball in my hand. And at 4 or 5 years old, I played in a YMCA league, Skip, and the score was 40. We won the game 42-40. I had 40 points. So at that age, I think everybody around me saw something in me that I didn't see. So I started getting treated like I was someone that was going to the NBA. I never knew. I was just having fun as a kid, but as time going on, everybody started treating me like, hey, you can get to the NBA. So I started believing in myself.
Do you remember who scored the other 2 in that game?
Yeah, it was my homeboy, Perry Gobert. His dad was the coach. He scored the other 2 points.
Can you remember what the shot was that gave him his 2?
Something lucky. Something we 5 years old, so something he just threw up there and it went in.
That's funny. And I assume you were tall for your age, right?
Yeah, I was taller than all the kids. I was faster. You know, I grew up on the west side of Port Arthur, so I grew up rough, fighting, playing outside on concrete, getting knocked down. So I was a little ahead of some of the kids.
Okay, and then Donald Buckner, I think, was your half brother. Is that right?
Yeah. So Donald Buckner is my father, and Donald Buckner Jr. is my brother.
Okay, Junior. Okay.
Yes.
And he tragically lost his life when he got the hell beaten out of him, right? By some
guys we know. Like I said, our city was small, and he was coming out of a female's house that the guy frequently dated. Yeah. They had words. You can imagine, this is my brother. And you can imagine how my heart is. My brother's 6'9". So he's taller than me. He was an athlete too, hell of an athlete in basketball, and he was way bigger than me. So he wasn't taking nothing. You see how big my heart is. So he took on the guys. They ended up fighting him, and during the fight. So Skip, this is funny you asked me this. So much time has passed. I've heard so many different stories. So some of the guys got out, and a close friend that I'm close to, and his close friends, and one of the guys told him a story to reach out to me probably like a year ago. So I went home, and he was like, bro, I know you don't want to hear it, but I got a story for you, because the guy who actually did it said he heard so many stories about what happened, and he got a lot of respect for you. He never got a chance to tell you how sorry it was or what happened, but it didn't go down how people saying it. So the whole story was, even in the paper, that he got hit with bottles and bricks and stuff like that. Well, what happened was they did jump on him. 3 guys did jump on him. But when one of them guys caught him with a good punch and kind of dazed him, he hit the back of his head on the curb.
Yeah.
And that's what busted his head open. So all the bricks and stomping on him and stuff like that, he said they wouldn't have disrespected my brother like that. He said they did fight him, they did jump on him, but all the kicking and bottles and stuff didn't go on. So I'm glad I can clear that up. But he hit his head on the curb during the fight and busted his head open, where he ended up having 18 staples in his head. So he was eventually brain dead. This is probably my first time telling this story too, Skip. My dad was calling me. My dad's not here no more either right now. My dad called me and told me to come see my brother because it wasn't looking good. At the time, my mind frame was get revenge. I was young, I was in the street, so I wasn't thinking about basketball. So my homeboy Roy D ended up convincing me to go to the hospital and see my brother. I go in the hospital, I see everybody distraught. So I go in there, my dad like, he waiting on you. And I'm like, how's he waiting on me and he in a coma? You know what I'm saying? Like he brain dead. I didn't understand what my dad was saying, but my dad knew something. So I went in there, I saw him, I instantly broke down. I kissed him on his head and told him I love him, Skip.
Hmm.
As soon as I kissed him and told him I love him, a tear dropped out his eye.
Hmm.
The first piece of emotion that anybody ever saw. And he died probably like 15 minutes later. So it made me feel like he was waiting on me. You know, he was waiting on me. So I think my dad knew something.
I'm glad you at least shared that moment with him. And how much younger were you than he was at 16? You were what?
I was 16. My brother was 20. He's 8 years
He
older
was
than me. He's 8
okay.
years 8 years older than me.
Okay, so he was older. Had he played high school, college basketball?
He was unbelievable in high school. He went to Thomas Jefferson, the same high school both of my sisters ended up going to. And he was an unbelievable athlete, but you know, you can't be in the streets and be an athlete. You can't do it. It's impossible to do both.
So at 16, how driven were you to get revenge for his death?
You know, at 16, I that's all I wanted. You know what I mean? I mean, that was my brother. Like, I felt like if I didn't protect him, if I didn't do nothing, I was going to be considered a punk, or, you know, it just didn't sit well with me. But at the same time, I had a great support system. Like, even some of the things that I wouldn't say on here that, you know, that we attempted to do, I would say that it eventually hit me that my brother appreciate more if I do something with my life instead of following in his footsteps.
That's good.
You know what I mean? So
yeah, that's right.
And that comes from my support system. My mom, my sister, my brother, the people around me kept telling me, bro, you got to make it for your brother now. You got to make it for your brother. So I instantly snapped out of it, Skip, because that wasn't something that I dreamed of. I dreamed of getting to the NBA. You know, after the city started making me believe in myself. So that lifestyle was something that I didn't want anyway.
Okay. So how big a threat to you at 16 were drugs other than marijuana? Any other harder drugs that you were tempted by?
Yeah, the only thing I've ever was tempted by was weed and syrup. We drank syrup a lot in high school. I'm from Texas, so that whole era comes from my era. Being in Houston and being in the Third Ward and the DJ Screw era. Growing up in high school, we used to sip codeine like it was nothing. And the first time I seen somebody sip codeine was my father. I go to my father's house when I moved with him, and I see him putting an ounce of codeine in a Budweiser, and I didn't know what he was doing. And they called it sleigh ride. And what he do, he shake it up and he down it, and about 30 minutes later, he slumped over in his sleep. Slumped over in his chair, and that was just something that we all adapted to because it was big in our city. But I sold drugs, but I didn't really be involved in that because the city, like I said, my city protected me. When the times that I wanted to be out there, they'll bring me home or they'll take it from me and sell it for me. Like, it was just so many incidents that my city guided me and protected me in situations that I didn't even understand I was in. So everything was around me, Skip. But like I said, my city protected me so much because I got so many situations where I could have ended up dead in the jail. And the one person pulled me away, and one person said, "Nah, you're not going," or even God just protected me. It's just so many situations where there's no reason that I was protected, and it's the reason why I'm here.
So you tried the codeine, but you didn't get hooked on the codeine.
Oh no, I definitely got hooked. I OD'd twice.
Did you? Oh, I didn't know that.
No. Trying it was not something that we did. We did it. We was probably at one point, Skip. We was probably sipping close to 8 to 10 ounces a day.
Oh man.
Yeah, me and some of my brothers. It was a morning and night and day. In the morning time we'll get some, and nighttime we'll get some more. It was just one of those situations, Skip. That was something that we was in, and like I don't understand. Like I understand now with these kids, but now a lot of the stuff that we was doing is remanufactured. You know what I'm saying? It's basically bathtub brew. It's not the same thing. You know.
Yeah.
So a lot of stuff was coming from the pharmacy then, and now a lot of stuff people making on the street. So it's totally dangerous now. But I speak on this, Skip, to tell people, to try to help people who have that problem now, to try to help them get off of it, because it can get a hold of you, Skip. And it got a hold of me at one point where I was losing weight. That's all I wanted to do. I wasn't eating. And like I said, I ended up going to the hospital with my stomach locked up. My stomach actually turned into a knot while I was in the car with two of my friends, and we had to pull over. I had to lay on the side of the road. I had to actually lay on the side of the road and go to the hospital and take some stuff to get my stomach pumped because I had so much syrup in my stomach that it was actually twisting. So from being
you were just doing cough syrup, right? That you could buy at the drugstore or whatever.
What it was the older guys could only back then. The older guys could the only ones get prescriptions from pharmacies. So we had to go to McGowan in Houston, a street called McGowan in Houston, and buy from the older guys that's sitting on the corner because they selling it in Gerber jar bottles for $40. So you couldn't really buy it from anybody off the street. You had to get it from somebody who had a real prescription.
Okay. And did you need any rehab stint at all to unhook yourself? You just did it.
Yeah. I just after a while, a lot of things when you're growing up, it run its course. And Syrup ran this course with me because I couldn't play basketball and be the player I was on it. I've seen football players and guys try it and their careers didn't go well because they was trying to do something that somebody else, they saw somebody else do. I grew up on it, Skip, so I knew what not to do, and I knew that wasn't going to take me nowhere. I had my fun with it. I enjoyed it with my friends, but that was a phase in my life that I'll never go back to.
Okay. So at Abraham Lincoln High School, you did win the Texas State Championship.
Yeah, my freshman year, Skip, we should have won it, but my mom used my grandmother's address because they got school zones. Yeah. And the coach at Thomas Jefferson didn't like the fact that I went to Lincoln because I was the best basketball player in the city, so he wanted me there. So he reported us to the school district. So the first game I played on varsity, we had to forfeit. In the 9th grade, I played varsity. You want to know what my stats was? 10, 10, and 10. Triple-double. My first game as a freshman in high school. Once they started, they was like, nope, he's not playing this year. He has to come here. And I had to sit out my freshman year.
Okay.
Sophomore year, go ahead.
Yeah, this was in, Houston or Port Arthur? Port Arthur. In Port Arthur, yeah, okay. Mm-hmm. So Thomas Jefferson was also in Port Arthur, where your sisters went.
Where my sister and my older brother went, yes.
I got it. Okay, so which year did you break through then and win the state championship at Lincoln?
95.
Okay. And were you a big star on that team?
Yeah, I was definitely the best player on the team, but I had a great group of guys that were my real friends that I had grew up with my whole life, that knew me, I knew them. We had another guy that went to Tulane, Keith Harris. My point guards and my guards were all good. They just didn't, where we didn't really get seen too much. Okay. So I was a top player in Texas, but I wasn't a top player in the country in my class in 96. But in 95, we won the state championship, and that's how I was seen, going and play AAU by Coach Smith at Oak Hill and ended up going to Oak Hill my senior year.
And so you went to Oak Hill back when it was the power place to be, right? That was a big deal to get selected to finish your high school career at Oak Hill.
Yeah, I mean, it was a blessing for me because I had no idea what it was going to do for me. I just won a state championship with my friends, so my whole attitude is I'm coming back my senior year, we're going to win it again. And my little brother that passed, rest in peace, I was going to have a chance to play with him because he was going to be a freshman. All that was in my mind, and but my mom, Coach Smith, and Andre Butte saw something that I didn't see. I was trying out for football at Lincoln High School, running routes, and my mom, my uncle, and my coach come get me off the field. They was like, "What you doing?" I'm like, "Trying out for football." I was like, "Nah, you're not even going to school here next year." I'm like, I had no idea what they was talking about. They brought me in, sat me down, told me about Oak Hill. I'm like, man, I don't want to go in the middle of nowhere wearing uniforms, nothing like that, man. Nah, I'm not doing that. Can't be by no girls and nothing like that. I'm not doing that. My mom packed my stuff. They rented a truck. She borrowed some money from somebody, a friend, and she rented a van. We packed the van up. My mom put my sister and my brother in the van with us, and we drove all the way to Oak Hill, like 18 hours.
It would be.
And she dropped me off. It was the worst drive of my life, Skip, but it ended up being the best place for me.
Whew. By the way, what happened to your younger brother?
3 years ago, he was getting ready to go out of town, and he had to pick up his son, and he was moving so fast, getting off work and moving around, and he was coming out of Target like 2 blocks from his house, and his heart just stopped. Oh, okay. He ended up hitting a pole, and he hit the pole, and they ended up getting there, and they pulled him out the car and tried to resuscitate him, and his heart just stopped. He was 42 years old.
Really? Sorry to hear that. Is your mom still with us?
Yeah. My mom is still here. I lost 4 out of 7 siblings.
Whew. Well, your mom was a force in your life. You would not be sitting here, right now without her, I believe.
Nah, facts. No question about it.
Yeah. Okay, so how big a culture shock was what you found in, I don't even know where it is, somewhere in Virginia, right? Where Oak Hill is?
1 second, Skip.
I understand. Take all the time you need.
My little brother was my best friend, man. Since 3 years old.
You've had your share or more of tragedy. You have known real life, hard life, and lived to tell about it.
I'm good.
Okay, so Oak Hill, culture shock, was it, how did you cope? How did you handle?
I think for me, I just knew that I was going to get a chance to play basketball on the level that I had always wanted to. I didn't know what to expect with the school and the uniforms and stuff like that. That was all new to me. And that really spooked me, not being able to, girls on one side of the campus, guys on the other side. But the best thing about it is we wasn't at school much. We traveled so much playing basketball and in different tournaments all around the world. I think that helped me deal with it, and it was only 1 year. And everywhere we was going, my name was getting bigger. I was playing in these tournaments, playing well. So, I think quickly I realized what I was there for, and I made the best of it.
Okay, so you wind up being a McDonald's All-American, and you went to play in the game, and you outplayed this guy named Kobe Bryant, who was also in that game, right?
Yeah. We had a great class.
You did. And how did the game go? What did you see from Kobe at that point?
Well, I tell the story a couple times, like Jermaine O'Neal, Mike Bibby, Tim Thomas, Kobe Bryant, Rip Hamilton, me. We had a lot of guys. You can see the difference in how Kobe carried himself and what he was thinking of the game of basketball at the time. We were happy to be at the McDonald's game. We were all there having a good time, young kids. We reached our goal. This is a goal. We all wanted to be here. And I think, Tim Thomas was didn't know if he was going to go in the NBA or if he was going to go to college. Jermaine was already going to the NBA. But Kobe didn't have his, Kobe was still on a kind of limb for a second. But his attitude was NBA already. So we there, and we at the McDonald's game. We just come from we always go to the McDonald's hospital to see the kids. And we're all like, man, let's go to McDonald's. Let's go get some food. Kobe was like, all right, I'll see y'all later. We like, what? He's like, man, I'm not eating that. So that's been my attitude. That was my attitude once I got to the NBA. I'm not eating no fast food. I'm not putting that in my body. He was thinking this at 15, 16 years old. You know what I'm saying? So his mind, everything that he programmed himself to do, Skip, he actually did it. It's hard, and that's what I admire about him. We all had dreams of being the best in the NBA and getting there and doing all this, but how many people actually saw it through? That takes a lot of discipline, so that's why I love Kobe so much.
Okay, so you did get signed, or it came close to you going to Arizona, but then you didn't have the grades to get in, right?
Yeah, so we had the number one recruiting class that year. Me, Mike Bibby, Eugene Eckerson, and I actually signed, with the University of Arizona, and they actually let me stay on campus, with Mike around the whole first semester.
Really?
And and this, see, Skip, where I'm from, I'm not used to people helping you, right? I'm not used to people helping you like that, especially people you don't know. Yeah. So they had a situation where they set up for me to take the test one last time in front of someone, but I'm thinking this is someone that's just administering the test to me. The whole time when I finished the test, because I had no clue about a lot of stuff, the guy says, "You're done?" I'm like, "Yes, sir, I'm done." He was like, "Surprised you didn't ask me for any help." I had no idea the guy was there to help me with the test. He never said nothing. So I ended up not passing the test and not going, and they ended up winning the national championship.
Oh, God. And if you had asked for his help, I'm pretty sure you would have passed the test.
I probably would have had flying color. I probably passed, aced it probably.
Oh, God.
Yeah.
So you did wind up signing with that Butler Community College in Kansas, but you didn't actually play there, right?
No, I went to Butler. I went to Butler for like maybe 2.5, 3 weeks. Went out there, met my boy Lee Naylon and some other guys. It was a kid from my hometown that was going there, Delvin Washington. When I went out there and ended up selling weed for 2 weeks while I was out there, Skip, trying to make some money. And I seen because the coach was actually paying me just to be there. Okay. And this was early NIL. He was hitting me off because he was trying to get me to stay and can play basketball the next year. But I ended up taking some money from him, hustling while I was down there and leaving, and because I didn't like the environment I was in.
Yeah.
And the only reason too, my sister was at Wichita State at the time.
Okay.
And that was right up the road, so that's why I tried it.
Okay. And yet, as the story goes, it was Mike Bibby's mom who got you in the door with the Phoenix Suns and Danny Ainge to just play some pickup games or just practice with them a little bit, and that wound up getting you drafted.
Yeah, I love her like a real mother. That's somebody who I check on, who I really look at like a mother. She didn't have to do that. I think she's seen the passion. My mom didn't want me to come back home. I think her and my mom had a conversation about the things that I could possibly get into once I get back home. And once I didn't pass the test, I had to go back home. But Mike's mom was like, "Nah, come stay with me, work out with Mike's brother Dane." And Dane was taking me to work out work out every day. But I woke up one morning, Skip, and she was like, "Grab your shoes." And I'm thinking she's taking me to another workout. And when I see us going by the Suns facility, I'm starting the hair on my skin starting to stand up.
I'd say.
And once she turned into the garage, normally you have to show security or a name or a badge or anything. They just raised it up like they was expecting her. So we go straight in. We walk towards the practice gym. By this time, I know I'm finna play basketball. I got enough common sense to know, okay, this is basketball. Yeah. So she take me in the gym. The whole Suns team is there. Soon as Danny Ainge give me a real brother handshake, hit me on the chest, was like, "Get out there." And I looked at her. She was like, "Go ahead." Like I needed approval from her. Like even though Danny Ainge said, "Go ahead," I looked at her like she's like, "Go ahead." And I end up showing my butt. I mean, dunking, catching lobs from J Kidd. He really embraced me to where the Suns only had one pick that year, Skip. They had the 42nd pick in the draft in the second round because they had just made trades for McDice and Rex Chapman and some other guys. So they even had Steve Nash, so they only had one pick. So the Danny Ainge guaranteed me the pick and told me they was going to send me to the CBA. But they guaranteed me $250,000 and my name in the system in the NBA. And for me, that was everything.
Hey, if that hadn't happened, if not for Mike Bibby's mother, I don't know what happens to you. I don't know.
You never hear about me.
Maybe not. Maybe not.
In a good way.
Yeah, no, in a good way. But the point is that you still had a struggle. You still had to fight through. Did you go to Europe or where? You had to go do some other stuff besides the CBA, right?
Yeah, I went to Venezuela, Dominican Republic, Chile, France, Australia. Yeah. I broke both of my feet. Tried out for 16 NBA teams during that time before I actually made it back to the NBA in 2001.
To the Nets, right? And Stefan was there, right? Marbury was there.
And we had the number 1 draft pick, Kenny Martin, that year.
Oh, yeah. There you go. And then it began to click for you, but you went through some long, hard nights, I'll bet, when you're bouncing around the world trying to hook on to play basketball.
Yes, Skip, I'll tell you a story. My first day in Venezuela, I get picked up from the airport. And, the ghetto is the ghetto to me. But this is different. Venezuela is different. He's driving me to practice. As soon as we got off the plane, we got to go straight to practice. And we're coming up to some traffic, but it's a bridge, and I guess cars are driving slow to under this bridge. So, and we're moving, and as we get close to under the bridge, people are starting to go like around something. My first day there, As soon as we start to turn around, I look out my window. It's like a 14, 15-year-old kid jumped off a bridge and landed right, just killed himself, committed suicide. My first day there, and I was like, I think I was like 18, 19 at the time, 19 at the time. And I called my mom like, I don't know about this is not what I'm, I don't know if I can deal with this. And she's like, if you want it, you're going to deal with it. If you want it, you're going to deal with it. And, and I made the best of it. But that was my first day there at night, 19 years old. To see that, I was like, man, I don't know if I can do this.
You have lived a life, man. Maybe you've lived a couple of lives, 3 lives.
I'm thankful.
Okay, so you wind up with the Spurs for, what was it, a couple of years? Or
2 years.
12 and 13. And you were really good for them, especially in that 2012, it would be the conference finals against OKC, right? I thought you played the biggest on the team. I thought you were the best player on the team. Shot the 3, you defended Durant pretty well. Wouldn't you say you did a decent job on him?
Yeah, I competed. A lot of people don't compete against him. He's impossible to stop, but I made it difficult for him.
You did. And you also had, which I actually love, but that tweet that you posted about Serge Ibaka that you got fined for, but at least you were showing some guts, right? Do you remember it?
That was my role on the team. I said, the next time Serge Ibaka say something, I'm going in his mouth.
Yeah.
But one thing about it, I meant that even when the 03 year championship year, a lot of those nights we had Tim Duncan and Tony Parker Ginobili. I was the best player on a lot of nights, especially in the playoffs. And I never got my credit for that, So both times I went back with the Spurs, I made it to at least the Western Conference Finals. So that says a lot, man. And
by the way, I can't remember what did you tweet about Ibaka?
I said, I think next time Serge say something, I'm going in his mouth.
Okay, all right.
Next time he say something slick, I'm going in his mouth. I was gonna punch him dead in his mouth too, and he knew it. We saw each other not too long ago.
Oh
he was like, man, what was I told him, I said, man, I really didn't have no problem with you, man. This is basketball. I have no friends when it comes to basketball.
That's a fact.
And when we shook on it and just spoke at the All-Star game or something like that. But
really,
I had no friends during the NBA time.
It's the only way to go. Now I look at them, and before and after every game, they're all hugging each other, and it's just like, I don't know. I don't know this style. I don't know this way. Yeah, it is different. Okay, so you do wind up in Indianapolis as a Pacer, and tell me what you remember. Recount for me what happened that night of November 19th of 2004.
I remember going into a big rivalry. This is my first game in a big rivalry. They just played in the East Conference Finals.
Yep. This is at Detroit, obviously.
Yep, at Detroit. Big time TV game. They are defending champions, but we coming in, everybody saying this is the championship team. These guys are gonna win the championship. You know what I'm saying? These are the champions. Yeah. And we was there to prove it, and we were proving it. We were basically beating them by 15 the whole game.
We were, yep.
And so this when the rivalry part comes in, where I wasn't privy to, Skip. I'm at the free throw line. There was about 45 seconds left. I hit the first free throw. I hear Jamal Tinsley tell Ron, I said, you can get your foul back. And I'm like, why would you you don't have to tell him to do nothing crazy 9 or 10 times. He gonna do it on his own. But at this point, Skip, I have to give Ron his credit. At this point where we were as a team, the last thing he was thinking about was doing something crazy. We were locked in. That's why we was playing so well. We were locked in. I think it was like 14-5 at the time. And we were blowing the champions out on national TV. So we were locked in. Mm-hmm. And so it got to the point where, okay, we're not messing this up. So I make the free throw. I run back to guard Ben because I knew that's who Ron was trying to get his foul on. So I pushed Ron off, and I went guard Ben. So as they throw the ball to Ben, the clock is running out. I have a high IQ in basketball, Skip.
You do.
So as he was going, it makes no sense to touch him or foul him. Let the clock run out. Let's get out of here. Yeah. He went up. I was going to let him make the shot, take the ball out, throw it back in, run the clock. As he was going up for the layup, Ron came out of nowhere and fouled him. Now, people don't know, I think Ben had lost a family member, a close family member before that game and wasn't supposed to play. So He reacted out of dealing with other stuff but he also didn't expect Ron to foul him. You know, he gonna make a layup, game over, you know, but so he reacted and Ron reacted the way he was supposed to. They told him, you know, because he had been talking to his counselors or whatever, they told him to go lay down when you feel like you're about to do something crazy.
That is true.
So that's why he went lay down. He went lay down on the score table.
He did.
The referees did a poor job of escorting Ben and Ron off the court. If they got kicked out, you should have went ahead and escorted them off. But they did a poor job. So as Ron's laying down, Ben is taking off his wristbands, throwing his wristbands at him, continuing to egg Ron on, but he's still calm. Reggie did a great job of keeping Ron on the table and calming him down.
Reggie Miller, yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, Reggie. So this is where I wish we had social media, Skip. Okay. After all this is going on, a beer comes out of the stands. And Reggie talked about it on the show. Reggie was the first to see it. You couldn't throw a beer better than this guy threw a beer. It landed dead on Ron's chest, hit him all in the face, all that. And Ron, now at that point, you're disrespecting the man now.
You are.
You know what I mean? You're not on the court.
Way, this wasn't a bottle. This was a cup of beer.
A cup, right? Yeah, a cup of beer. It wasn't a bottle.
All right. Yeah.
You're not on the court wrestling and shooting, so your adrenaline shouldn't be as high as ours right now. We're playing a game against the NBA, the defending champions. Like, this is high-level basketball, high energy, real intense. So once the beer come, that's not a part of basketball, right? So Ron took off. He felt immediately disrespected. I did everything I was supposed to do. I'm not trying to cause a scene in here. I'm calm, and the beer comes, bam. He ran beeline straight to the guy next to the guy who threw the beer. He didn't grab the guy who threw the beer. He got the guy next to the guy. Once he goes, Skip, it's a picture that I seen. I want to actually blow it up in my house. But soon as Ron goes, it's a picture of the whole team immediately turn and hopping over the stands and going with him. I love the reason why I love that picture because that's some real team unity.
That's it.
I don't think you have 3 teams in the NBA right now. If one player ain't winning the stands, that the whole team going.
No,
not today.
Agreed. I'm with you. Even though it's highly dangerous for everybody to go up there, there's nothing great that can happen up there. But you got to have his back.
You got to have his back. We'll deal with the consequences later. Yeah. And we had a whole bunch of guys like that on that team. So I get up there, and this what I'm glad you asked, because I like to explain this, Skip.
All right.
I ran 6 rows up before I touched anybody. So I didn't go in there being Steven Jackson from Port Arthur, Wacko Jacko, and just go up there swinging on people. I didn't do that. I ran past everybody. When I got to the 6th row, I grabbed my teammate first. And as I grabbed Ron, another fan threw a beer in his face right in front of me. So I'm like, okay, all bets off now. All bets off now. So I had to defend my teammate. One thing led to another. Where all this happened in probably like 2-3 minutes. I get back to the court. I ain't got no skin on my. I didn't jump the bleachers so fast. I was just scraping my legs up. I didn't feel none of that. I got blood all on my socks. And we get back to the locker room, and everybody adrenaline just high. We about to fight the coaches. We arguing with the coaches. Somebody coming in says, "Don't leave." Some guys are going to jail. Like it was Ron asked, "Are we gonna get in trouble?" It was so much going on in that time. It was so much going on in that time, but I don't regret it. If me and you go to a bar right now, Skip, and somebody disrespect you, I'm going. That's just how I am.
Absolutely, and vice versa. Not that I could defend you, but I'd try.
But we going together.
Yes, sir. Did you land any punches up in the stands?
Yeah, the first punch I threw, I came real close to knocking the guy out, because when I hit him, he fell, and I was on my way to actually put out to stump him out, and one of my teammates grabbed me. Once I threw that punch, I was in fight mode, so he was down. I was finna go put my foot to his face. Yeah. And but somebody, thank God, they grabbed me and pulled me back and helped. Yeah.
Then did you throw another punch on down on the floor?
No. Once my friend grabbed me and pulled me back, I turned, and the guy was hitting Ron. In the back of the head. So I jumped on him and I think I hit him like once or twice.
Okay. And for those who don't know, that became what was known as infamously the Malice at the Palace.
Malice at the Palace.
And it cost you, what
$3 million.
$3 million. How many games? 20?
30.
30 games. 30 games. $3 million. Cost Ron the rest of the year, right?
No, almost $5 million. Yep.
Yeah. Whew. Did you think that was fair?
I still don't to this day. We were at work. We were at work. I mean, we didn't go into the stands initially or disrespect nobody in the stands. We were at work. A beer, if you throw a beer in anybody's face today, Skip, you're going to jail for assault.
You are.
But it's not assault. It's not assault when you're dealing with 6'8", 6'9", young rich black men. That's how I look at it, Skip, because there's no way that, and even Reggie said it, when it first happened, the media was saying, the fans this, the fans that, the fans that. The next day, how quick David Stern must have made that call, and they blamed it all on us, like we wasn't at work, like we wasn't playing basketball. So, and if it was actually looked at, like not even thought about, Skip, it was just looked at as how wrong we were done. And like I said, I ran up 6 rows. If I was just being a thug, Skip, I would have hit the first person on the first row, second row. I had ample opportunity to hit anybody. I could have fought I could have fought the Pistons if we was just on that. So I'm saying if they would have looked at it as these people were actually at work and these are actually grown men that got disrespected, now suspension, Skip, 10 games, 5 games, I understand that. I understand that sometimes they had to do something because they was trying to change the dress code and all that stuff around that time. So they took all that out on us. All that out on us.
Okay, fast forward a couple of years to October 6th of 2006, Club Rio. It was in Indianapolis, right?
A year later from the brawl.
And how did it unfold? How did it go down?
Being loyal to a fault again. Wasn't drinking, wasn't hanging out. I had a guy named Snap Hunter. Shout out Jimmy Hunter. I am the godfather to his son. His son is doing some amazing things right now. He actually played Michael Jackson and Michael Jackson's brother in the movie, and actually played in Lion King on Broadway. Oh yeah, he's an amazing kid. But his father was trying out with me, and we were with our wives the whole day shopping. Like 10 o'clock at night, Al Harrington called me like, man, the whole team going out. Just like a team bonding. We all going out before training camp. We're doing training camp, and I'm like, cool, we'll go. We go, hang out in the strip club for a minute. Like I said, I had been out all day with my wife, so I was tired. Al's leaving, going to another club. I'm leaving, going home. As we're leaving, some guys chase Jamal Tins outside the club. I mean, they're running after him. So I don't know what's going on. Like I said, I'm just a law guy. We had just got gun license, so I had my gun on my hip in my holster. So I hopped out, ran over there. By the time I get to him, I see nobody has a gun, so I swing at one of them with my gun. We about to start fighting, and more guys. I seen they was probably like 30 deep in the club, so more guys come out. I've been around this situation so many times. I wasn't finna let nobody hit me from behind and knock me out. Now they stumping me out in the parking lot. So as the guys was coming, I let off some warning shots, bow, bow, bow in the air. And when I let those warning shots off, everybody started running. Security grabbed me because this was a club we go to all the time, Skip, so they knew us.
Okay.
He grabbed me and like, get out of here, and pushed me to run towards my car. No. So soon as I turned and run towards my car, one of those guys must have been frightened the fact that I had a gun. So he darted out of his parking spot coming straight at me. Now I see him out the corner of my eye, but when I turn around, he's coming so fast that I can't get out the way. So I thank God I was sober. The fact that I was sober, I thought quick, so I didn't just stand there. If I'd have stayed there, he would have killed me. He would just hit me and ran straight over me. I jumped sideways and turned with the car, where I jumped up high enough when my back hit the windshield. So he hit me up in the air, and I land face first, where all my teeth coming out, my lips are shattered, all my teeth just flying out my mouth from hitting the ground. Boom, 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 boom. But like I said, my adrenaline made me stand up. So as soon as I stand up, I stand up to just make, because I'm happy I'm not dead and like that. Yeah. I don't even feel no pain. I'm just happy I'm alive. And I stand up, and I heard, to be honest, Skip, I shot at the car a couple times after that. I heard so many stories. To be honest, I don't remember everything, because after I got hit by that car, a lot of stuff was a blur. I think I do remember letting off some shots, and my gun ended up being empty, and I ended up passing out to the point where me and Marquise Daniels in the back of the car, in the back of the police car, or something like that. And I remember being unconscious, and I remember Marquise Daniels kicking the window, telling the police, because he didn't know if I was choking or if I was dying or whatever. My lips were shattered. He just see my mouth just bust open, no teeth, and I was just unconscious. And from him kicking the window, I come up out of it, and I'm like, bro, what happened? What happened? You know, and the police was good though, because they all knew who we were. They let me out. They let us out the car. They let us go because they know we wasn't running or nothing like that. And I met on my whole team at the gas station. This is why I love Jermaine O'Neal so much. When they let us out the car, I went back into put out the wacko jacko mode. One of the guys said he knew where these guys hang out at, so my career was over at that point. I'm ready to go shoot some shit up and kill something at that point.
Yeah, I understand.
I was mad, and during the time I'm telling everybody, my friends that pulled up with guns, Jermaine was like, look, Jack, I feel you. I'm mad too. But I'm looking at your mouth. You gotta go to the hospital, bro. You gotta go to the hospital. Skip, soon as he said that, instant pain kicked in. Soon as he made me realize how my mouth was looking.
Yeah.
I'm talking about I had to go there. I went to the hospital. I had plastic surgery on my mouth with no anesthesia for 2 hours. Oh. Taking debris out of my gums, cutting skin off my lips to have my mouth looking back right. I remember the doctor, the plastic surgeon, putting his hand on my chest after 2 hours of plastic surgery. He was like, Mr. Jackson, I'm sorry, I'm done. Because he saw how I was fighting. Rick Carlisle held my hand the whole 2 hours.
Did he really?
Rick Carlisle and my wife at the time held my hand the whole 2 hours. A lot of my teammates was there just watching. They couldn't believe it. A lot of people, they were right there. All my teammates was right there watching.
Oh, man. I know you know this, but you came within an instant of losing your whole life.
Being
out there, outside that Club Rio, right? That was real close. Real close. I could have went home. You could have went all the way home. Okay, so what did all that cost you in the end?
Well, it cost me to get traded. Al had just came back to Indiana, and we was like, okay, this year we got everybody except Ron, but we replacing Al Harrington. That's still a good play. That's still a good.
You had a shot.
We had a shot. Yeah. We had a shot. We tried to plug in Al because we lost Ron, and that happened in the preseason where they had to trade us to Golden State, where I ended up getting fined and getting suspended my first 7 games in Golden State. Okay.
But you did pull off what I think was the greatest upset in the history of the NBA playoffs when you upset the Dallas Mavericks, and you were the driving force of that upset, wouldn't you say?
Yeah. Oh, let me say this too. I ended up violating probation.
Okay.
Because I was on probation for the brawl.
Oh, yeah, you were already on probation from the Malice.
Yeah, so I ended up getting in more trouble because of that. But Golden State, I think that Dallas, even just being in Golden State and that Dallas series was me needing a change of scenery. Don Nelson, I needed Don Nelson. I needed Baron Davis. I needed Monte Ellis. I needed Jason Richards. I needed Al. I needed Matt Barnes. I needed all these guys at the time because they allowed me to be me. Soon as I showed up, we had Baron Davis, but Don Nelson not Don Nelson and Baron Davis made me feel like I was the best player on the team. So and I needed that. And out of all the teams I've been on, out of all I gave to the game, no coach has ever made me a captain. Don Nelson did that. Like a lot of stuff he was doing, it made me feel wanted and respected. And I think that's why I played so hard and why I had such good played such good basketball while I was there.
All right, then take me all the way home to your last stint when you came back to San Antonio. You did clash with Coach Popovich for the right reasons. What was that like? What was he like to you? How did it work for you with him?
You know, I really got to keep my emotion together now, you know, because I love Pop so much. And, you know, I've been calling and taking with Tom James. I can't talk. Checking on him. Because I love Pop so much, and I hope he's doing well. It sucks.
Had a stroke.
It hurts me. It hurts me a lot to have done so much for that organization at a time. You know what I'm saying? And I love, and Pop has done so much for me. The organization has done so much for me, vice versa, that I haven't talked to him, Tim, or anybody. You know, I've talked to the owner's wife. I talked to the owner's son, but I haven't talked to them since I played there. And to talk about Pop and to know that he's you know going through a little something, and I want to say I wish him the best, and I love him, and hopefully I could talk to him soon. But during that time, I came back and I was up and down in my play, but the type of player I am, you can't put me in one night and don't play me 3 more games, then throw me in another night. Like I wasn't mentally able to take that at all in my career from no one, because I know how I played the game and I know what I can give. And Pop was playing me, and I play good when he'll play me in the constant role. I play good, then he won't play me. Then he'll throw me in the game one night. I'll look like shit, So right before we had a practice, I played like 4 or 5 games, and I was playing well. I was balling, and we had a practice. We get ready to start the playoffs like in a week or 2 or something like that, and we had a practice where Tim had some reason put a battery in my back, and I went crazy in practice where I was cursing and making shots. You can't guard me. Fuck you. Like, I was going crazy. Pop doesn't typically like that type of practice.
No, not against Tim for sure, but go ahead.
But Tim was on my team, so Tim was egging it on. Yeah, he was egging on. Tim loved it. That's one person that was my biggest fan on the team. Tim loved that because he loved the passion that I had for the game. He appreciated that. So it was a couple of young guys on the team, and Ginobili wasn't on my team. I was serving everybody, and I was talking bad to him. So I go in the locker room. I feel good about practice. I'm like, okay, shit, Pop got to start playing me more. Tim come in practice. That's what I'm talking about, boy. That's what I'm talking about, Wolf Pack. That's what he called us, with the Wolf Pack. That's what I'm talking about. He walks in the training room. I'm taking my shoes off, getting ready to cut my tape off. One of the young guys come in, the film guys. Pop wants to talk to you in the film room. I'm like, cool. Maybe this is what he want to talk about. Great practice, da. When I walk in there, I know Pop real well. He doesn't have the face of great job, Jack. Sits me down. He says, Jack, I want to show you. Look at this film right quick. He finds the worst play I could ever make in one game. One clip, one play, probably when he put me in, 2 minutes left in the game. Yeah. And I know Pop, he found the worst clip on purpose. Look at this. I look at it. I'm like, okay. He's like, so we getting ready to start the playoffs, and I'm going to play Danny Green and Ginobili, and I want to bring everyone in the film room, and I want you to admit that these guys are better than you, just so they can have confidence going into the playoffs. I was destroying them in practice. This is the honest to God truth. One thing about Pop and how well he knew me, he knew what my response was going to be before he even asked me that question. Before I even came in the film room, he know how I was going to respond. Pop knew I wasn't finna say that to nobody. Jordan, Kobe, LeBron, nobody. You got to prove it. Show me. Mm-hmm. And nobody couldn't show me. So when he said that, I'm like, what? Man, I ain't doing it. And I got up and walked out. And when I walked out, he never called me back. I walked out. Put my stuff on, walked past him, and got in my car. And I got a call later saying, I've been released. They was signing me a big check for what they owe me, and I was being released. But this the thing, Skip. Before Pop even called me in that office, Tracy McGrady was already on a plane headed to San Antonio.
I understand.
So they had all this conjured up before practice was even over with.
It's a little devious, I got to tell you, but it's just the way they operated.
That's business.
It's business.
I don't hold no grudges. Like I said, I love Pop. He done a lot for me. He gave me a chance to be on one of the best teams ever with David Robinson and Tim Duncan. So, that was a part of business. I just wish I could hug him now and tell him I love him and ask him is he okay and hear it out his own mouth that he's okay. Yeah.
Good for you. When did you first get to know George Floyd? Was it in Houston?
Yeah. So a guy, rest in peace, a guy named Tello, another friend of mine that passed. He had kids in Port Arthur, but he grew up in Houston, Third Ward. So he used to go back and forth. So he seen me one day and he was like, man, I got a friend. Y'all might have the same daddy. I'm like, man, yeah, right, man. I know who my brothers are. He was like, nah, I'm telling you, bro, when you see him, you might think the same thing. I'm like, yeah, right. Soon as I see George Floyd, who your daddy? That's how much we looked alike. We instantly called each other twin. It got to the point, Skip, where every summer, especially once I made the NBA, because he was an athlete too. God takes different people's lives into different directions, and I ended up making it. So it got to the point once I made it, I ended up going every summer. I was going back to Third Ward, sip and serve with George Floyd, hanging out, smoking weed, just doing what we do. But I loved him because he protected me. We never got in no trouble. We never was places we wasn't supposed to be. We stayed right there around his neighborhood, hung out. I went back to my hotel, always got home, So he was one of those guys that I had a great time with. And I think it was a big reason why I stayed out of trouble, because I wasn't in the clubs. I wasn't on the scene where everybody was. We was in the hood, in CUNY Homes projects, just hanging out, being free and just being us. And our relationship grew from that to the point where we got daughters the same age. I got a great relationship with his nephew, Wu, and his two older sisters from all that time. So we became like real brothers.
Wow. So how weird was it? How bizarre was it for you to see what happened to him when he got murdered in Minneapolis? It's like crazy world stuff that he could wind up in Minneapolis and get murdered by a cop.
Well, see, the thing is, so it's on his social media and it's on mine too. So before he went to Minnesota, he reached out to me and he was like, "Twin, I'm gonna need some clothes, bro. I'm going to Minnesota. I'm gonna get my stuff together. I'm gonna go out there and get my CDL and go out here and try to get my life together. I need to change the environment." And I got that because I know how CUNY Homes can be. You know what I'm saying? I know how that third ward could be. It'll swallow you because the same things are going on. So I'm like, bro, I got you. I'm supporting you. And he posted on his social media. I sent him a big old box of suits, clothes, shoes, new Jordans, all kind of stuff because, I loved him and I want to help him. He's trying to change his life. Of course I'm going to help you. And he put it on his social media. Big bro looked out for me, I was happy. So I knew he was in Minnesota and I knew he was trying to change his life. So when I was on my couch, Skip, sleep with my daughter, and I got a text of a whole bunch of videos of some stuff from my wife's mom. My wife is from Minnesota. Her mom lives in Minnesota. So she's sending me these videos. We talk about injustice by police all the time, so I'm not really correlating that. I'm not putting that two and two together, so I don't even open the message, Skip. I'm half asleep on the couch. My phone is ringing a lot now. Buzz, buzz, buzzing. Now it's a message from my friend Mike D in my home in Port Arthur. My friend who one of my big homies. He said, "You see what they did, Georgie?" And I'm like, "Georgie?" It's the one person I call Georgie. That's what we call George Floyd. And I click on it, and that's when I see it. I look at it, I jump up screaming, throwing my phone. I'm like, "What?" I'm like, I just thought, my daughter jumped up scared. My wife came grab my daughter. Like, I was frustrated. I was screaming, crying. I'm like, what is going on? Like, I didn't understand it to the point where I went downstairs and I just sat down in the dark. I was just sitting in the dark because I'm like, my phone blowing up, and this is something too, Skip. Most people would die to be in that position, to run and get in front of it, to see how they can make money off the situation, to be in front of the camera. Skip, I didn't want nothing to do with it, and this is an example.
I believe that. Yeah.
So the family, Wu, which was the spokesman for the family the whole time, he had DM'd me the morning it happened, saying, "Stack, we need you." I didn't see it because I was running from my phone. They wanted me to come be the spokesperson for the family, but Skip, I didn't want nothing to do with it. I wasn't checking my messages, nothing. So I'm just at home crying, I'm like, man, I got to do something, bro. I got to do something. So I called my publicist here at the time, and I'm like, look, I got to go down there and do something. I got to say something so I jumped on Instagram and I let everybody know that was my twin. This is my friend, and we not letting this go down. Jamie Foxx, Bun B, everybody start calling me in support, to the point where his daughter, Gianna, was represented by the same lawyer as the family. And the lawyer had told her off camera, "Look, I'm going to handle this situation with the family, then I'm going to attend to the golden child." That's what he called her daughter, Gianna. That, and so Roxanne is her mother, is Gianna's mother. She didn't like how that came off, and it rubbed her totally the wrong way. She did not like that. So she instantly reached out to me. She's like, "Steve, I don't know what's going on, but I need to make sure my daughter's straight. I need to make sure she's represented right, because what he just told me, I'm not letting them exploit my daughter in no type of way," right? So I'm like, I love Gianna, whatever y'all need. So I helped her get a lawyer. She asked me to be the spokesperson for her, Gianna. So I genuinely did that because I wanted to see the daughter, Gianna, be taken care of, or whatever happened, she gets what she's supposed to get. With Lil Wayne, who we both love, him and Mac Main. First thing they did, they bought her a Benz truck. Kyrie bought him a house. A lot of people start reaching out. Barbara Streisand gave a stock in Disney. So many people did a lot of great things, and I appreciate them all. Kanye did, so I appreciate all of them. And they did it. They did it off the fact that I stepped up for, and I appreciate that. So I would have never got involved at the magnitude I did if I wasn't asked by the daughter the mom to speak up for her and the daughter. Because Skip, the last thing that I ever want to be, and I never call myself an activist, and the reason why. It's people who spend their day, every minute of their day, for the betterment of people of all races, not just black, of all races. They have activism in every race, of every race. So I would never call myself an activist, Skip, because I was just riding for my friend. You know what I'm saying? That was somebody my brother, who I genuinely love. So it was just something that I'm glad God put me into. And to be honest, Skip, it put me on another level. I was the face of a movement that reached all 50 states, 18 countries.
It did.
A lot of these countries never see me play basketball, but they see me stand up for something that's right. So I appreciate that.
That is true. Okay, so as you look back, did George Floyd die in vain, or did his murder in any way help race relations in this country?
It gave us temporary change, Skip.
Okay.
Because since George Floyd died, it's been over 1,000 murders from cops still that we just don't talk about. They don't have big names, that's not recorded. So I think we had temporary change. The George Floyd Act never got approved. So I think that they put a Band-Aid on a lot of stuff, Skip. But at the end of the day, I think what we got out of it is that more people like me and you from different races, we have to do the work and not depend on other people. We got to continue to respect each other, continue to show love, continue to support each other, continue to speak good about each other when we're not around each other, like I do to you and other people who I love. And I think that's how we bridge the gap. We can't depend on people who really don't care about neither one of us to do it.
Perfectly said, and I appreciate that. All right, speaking of race relations, I assume you followed what happened to Shadur Sanders, Deion's son.
Yes.
Through the first 4 rounds of the NFL draft into the 5th round, where he finally went 144th overall, after I and many others thought he'd go 1st overall.
Shout out Mel Kiper. He went crazy.
Kiper. He did. He went crazy. Okay, your step back perspective on what happened to Shadur.
Everybody's on the outside looking in, Skip, right? We are on the outside looking in. We know how the world values a confident black man. Point blank. We know how they value him. But at the same time, this is business. You can't tell people what to do with their business. You can't force people to do something and they own it. Like, it just don't work like that. Now, we all know Shadur has top 10, top 15, top 20 first round pick skills. We all know that.
At least, yes.
But if you look at it, Skip, God doesn't make mistakes. It worked out with him being right where he needs to be, where he has a chance to start, where he can play right now, where he's respected, where he's wanted. Like, a lot of things happen. Everything don't happen the way you want to, but it always happens on time, Skip. I wanted to graduate. Go to the NBA right out of high school.
Yes,
but my journey was different.
It was a journey, man.
And it made me the person I am today, I'm still being blessed, Skip. Now I look at it like this. The person I am today, all that made me. If I needed to call you and I needed a job, I could, because of the person I am, because the morals I have. You know what I'm saying? I'm going to have your back. So I don't regret my journey. This is Shadur's journey. He has another opportunity to do what he loves. You're still in the NFL. You have an opportunity to shut people up, and you still have an opportunity to play football. So, he should have went where everybody wanted him, but things don't happen the way you want it. It happened the way it's supposed to, and that's how I look at it.
And of all the people in the world, you can appreciate his journey. It's going to be a little rough for a while. And I hope you're right about Cleveland. I thought it was like the worst place he could go because it's a sorry organization, but it is an opportunity, to your point. They have 4 other quarterbacks on the roster, but none of them are Shadur Sanders. I can tell you that.
Right, and he's not the first quarterback to get drafted low like that. We have some Hall of Famers that got drafted like that.
We got our Brady and we got our Montana and we got our Lamar Jackson who went the last pick in the first round. We could go on and on.
Yep.
All right, I can't let you go without talking something about what's happening right now with the NBA playoffs.
Yep.
Are the Lakers done down 3-1 to the T-Wolves?
Yeah, I mean, even though, LeBron is playing lights out and, he's come back 3-1 before, Kyrie's not on that team. That's not the same. That's not the same team either. No knock to Luka, but it's hard for me to respect a guy when you know that teams are picking on you on defense. If you look at the games, whoever Luka's guarding, they're screening to get Luka. I would take that personal. Right? And they have no big man presence, so they're actually picking on Luka. Luka has to take more pride in his defense, and he's really making Nico look like a genius right now. I'm telling you this because he's making Nico look like a genius. But I think they are done. I think Anthony Edwards has had his experience the last couple of years in the playoffs to understand what it takes. I think the team they have now is a hungrier team than with Karl Anthony Towns. I think Julius Randle might not be as talented, but he's more of a dog.
He's more of a dog.
And that's what they needed. They needed. Rudy is playing lights out. He's doing everything he's supposed to, catching everything around the rim. Jaden Daniels, he's having a coming out party. If he can continue,
reminds me a little bit of you, just a little bit. You're out of the same mold. He just doesn't have the dog in him that you had in you. But
he's 6'10" though.
He is, but the skill set is like you're 6'8". Yeah, he is 6'10". Yeah,
and name a team, Skip, in the playoffs right now. And I'm talking about guard wise, where you have your two starting guards getting after on defense. Anthony's guarding Luka. That says a lot right there. They have Luka. They have Luka guarding Rudy.
Sometimes, yeah.
You know what I'm saying? I don't respect that.
Yeah, I know.
Well, I don't respect that.
That's who he's always been. That's why Nico said no. That's why he said I don't want this. And I got to tell you, down the stretch of these two games, Luka's been pretty quiet. So is LeBron, but Luka's the man now. It's supposed to be the Los Angeles Lukas. But Luka's been pretty quiet in two straight fourth quarters, and they said he had some kind of stomach bug, but you're Luka Doncic. You're the man.
Everybody's hurt this time of year. Everybody's hurt, Everybody's hurt. Even, I look at the Grizzlies, they quit game 2. It's just a lot of stuff going on, and that's why I don't like to play in. Because look how these teams that finished 10 and 11 play, how they show up. You didn't belong in the playoffs anyway, and you're showing it.
Yeah.
But the Lakers are done. The Lakers are definitely done. I don't think they can beat.
And by the way, they don't have a rim protector. They don't have a shot blocker because they don't have Anthony Davis, who can really rim protect and really shot block and change games by taking over and commanding the paint.
Guaranteed double-double, yep.
Okay, so you traded Luka for AD, and now you're kind of stuck with what Luka can't do on defense, and it is showing.
When the last time, Skip, you seen a coach play the starting five the whole second half?
He did. Yeah.
That's not going to work.
Yeah. I thought he should have played Jackson Hayes a little bit because he's not bad, but
he's not bad.
And that Dalton Connect, that rookie, he is without fear, and they need to let him have a little run just to give somebody a rest, either LeBron or Luka a little rest. Yep. And they did not do that. Okay, let's go bigger picture. I'm an Oklahoma City Thunder fan because I was born and raised in Oklahoma City. Mm-hmm. What shot do you give them of winning the West?
I give them a big shot. Playoffs go on. I think Shai's average is going to second round. They're going to start doubling him more and make him come off the ball, right? They're not just going to sit there and let Shai get 30,
No.
But if he can get 20, 26, and you can continue to get help from Chet and those other guys, I see them making the finals because at the end of the game, fourth quarter, Shai's a finisher. He know how to finish. No one person going to stop him. He makes the right play. He's definitely the MVP. I see them definitely coming out the West if they can continue to get help from the supporting cast like they've been doing.
Okay. And what about Boston? You still bullish?
I got Boston winning it. I mean, I just the experience, the coaching, the players, they've been there so many times the last couple of years. They're loaded. And this first round is definitely what they needed. They needed to be beat up. They needed to be thrown. They needed to be treated like non-champions. That woke them up. I feel sorry for the rest of the Eastern Conference.
Okay. Hey, I love you, man. I appreciate your time.
Love you too.
I appreciate your heart. I appreciate you bearing your soul for me and for us during this show. And I'll be in touch. And I'm so proud of you and Matt both for what you've done with All the Smoke. It's a runaway success, and God bless it and God bless you.
Thank you, Skip. Love you more. And me and Matt forever indebted to you for opening that door for us too, man. So a lot of stuff that's happening come from the opportunities that y'all gave us. And we the only thing we really wanted to do is make y'all proud, man. So we appreciate you as well.
You are doing that.
Thank you.
That is it for this episode of Skip 101. I will see you next week.